This is KGW News at 11.
And thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko along with meteorologist Joe Ranieri. Joe, tonight we're talking gusty winds, dangerous waves, and it is already underway.
Exactly right. And not to mention the record rain that we've seen so far today, closing in on over 1.5 inches and counting. I'll get to that in a second, but I want to focus on the winds. Those winds have really picked up within just the last couple of hours. Here locally in the metro area over in Hillsborough, we're basically seeing a southerly flow with gusts anywhere from 25 to 30 miles an hour. Throughout the airport area, we're looking at gusts close to 30, 35 miles an hour. Along the northern part of the Oregon coast, the winds have calmed a little bit. You could say calm if you a little bit, because at one point just about an hour ago or so, gusts at the Astoria airport there along the northern Oregon coast were nearly 70 miles an hour, and the wind is going to remain just as strong, at least gust-wise, along the northern part of the beaches here the next several hours into tomorrow morning. As we put the futurecast into motion, we're basically going to be seeing this front moving on shore the next couple hours, bringing in high winds and a lot of rain. I'm expecting to see gusts here in the metro area anywhere from 40 to 55 miles an hour. A few locations could be a little bit more than that. Late tomorrow afternoon, the evening, those gusts will really start to calm down. As we look at the radar right now, we're picking up some heavy downpours, and that's really been kind of the theme here the last couple of hours. Rainfall amounts since I got in earlier this afternoon are closing in on 1 inch just in downtown Portland. And like I said, we did see record amounts of rain. We have that flood advisory that's going to remain in place here the next couple of hours. For tomorrow, David, expect to see a threat to see the creeks rise in our area. There's also a coastal flood advisory along the beaches and urban street flooding as well. We're also under a wind advisory, which I'll talk more about in a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Joe. And within that last hour, the number of power outages along the coast have skyrocketed. Pacific Power reporting more than 16,000 customers without power in the northwest corner of the state. About half of those right now in the Seaside area. Reports of damaged or down lines from Astoria down through Cannon Beach. PGE just jumped to over 4,700 customers without power in the Portland area. About 3,000 of those new in the last 30 minutes. The vast majority of you in Washington County. Clark County, right now, you are still in good shape. With those rain totals, by the way, that Joe mentioned, we've already seen flooding and pooling in some spots this evening, including in the last few moments here, a shutdown of one of our major highways. Christelle Kumwe with that part of the story.
Look at this mess. While the ice and snow have moved on, Monday's heavy rain created new headaches for drivers and road workers.
Well, it's been a busy week for our crews, no question.
This is on Highway 30 near Savi Island Bridge Monday. Both eastbound lanes submerged starting around noon, and it just got worse into the evening hours. This Oregon Department of Transportation worker knee-deep in the water trying to clear storm drains as cars tried to navigate and drive through. Hannah Schaefer with the Portland Bureau of Transportation says a rule of thumb in these situations: be cautious, slow down, turn around if at all possible.
If you come across an area where you see standing water, you may not know how deep that water is. So please turn around and take an alternate route. Don't try to drive through. That water could be much deeper than you may expect.
This flooding caused at least one driver to spin out as they plunged through. In the city, storm drains help with stormwater runoff and prevent flooding.
So we're asking folks, if they can, to get out there and clear a channel so that water can flow down those drains or into the ditches, wherever water is supposed to flow.
When drains get clogged with fallen leaves and other debris, it leads to dangerous ponding along city streets and intersections.
Or if you're clearing away debris and that water is still not flowing down the drain, please give us a call. We have 24/7 maintenance dispatchers who will take your call and send folks out to help.
In Vancouver, along I-5 and 99th Street, WashDOT crews were on scene clearing storm drains as heavy rains flooded parts of the road. And at I-5 at Lombard in North Portland, we were watching on the traffic cams as cars taking the exit kicked up big waves. Same scene here on Southwest Barber Boulevard. As the rain washes away the last of the slush left over from Portland's recent ice storm, the same rules of the road still apply.
Please keep your foot off the gas and take it slow.
Just about an hour ago, ODOT closed Highway 30 between Marina Way and Harborton Drive due to high water. Now, that's the stretch of the highway we just showed you. The closure is expected to last through the night, and crews are working to set up a detour. Now, with the weather we've had the past couple of days, before you head out, make sure you go on tripcheck.com for the latest update on road conditions.
Well, that is good advice. I-84 through the gorge, by the way, under an ice storm warning, still open tonight. But Christelle, we know, case in point from Highway 30, that can just change at a moment's notice. Thank you, Christelle. Meanwhile, the ripple effect of a major winter storm across the country, but they're still keeping tens of thousands of travelers from getting home or even making it to their holiday destination in the first place. Some giving up. Nationwide, FlightAware today reported nearly 10,000 flights delayed or canceled. Dallas-based Southwest Airlines canceling 71% of its schedule. KGW reporter Mike Benner is stuck with his family in St. Louis after his flight was canceled for the 5th time since Thursday when he was scheduled to originally come home. In this case, his wife and kids are split between two different airports. Here is Mike, followed by another family stuck in Florida.
The looks on the faces of the people working here at the airport, you can't help but feel for them. It's not their fault, clearly. But as a dad, just trying to get home with one of my 3 kids, it's taking everything I have to keep my cool.
We are surprised they can get us to PDX this week at all, given that PDX was basically shut down. We were ready to fly into Sacramento and rent a car and drive the rest of the way, or Seattle and drive the rest of the way. We looked at Boise, Salt Lake City. I mean, we were ready for just get me over the Rockies and we'll figure it out from there, you know?
I feel like that's going to become a meme. Just get me over the Rockies. That's Lauren Zavril, who says they will not be flying until Thursday at the earliest. As for travelers in Portland, PDX reported 48 cancellations across all airlines. Southwest canceling a bunch for Tuesday, though most everything else at PDX at least looks to be on time for now. And some Portlanders who decided to stay home for the holidays, well, they suffered their own headaches in the aftermath of last week's ice storm. The owners of a restaurant in Southeast spent Christmas Eve dealing with this. This is the aftermath of a pipe that froze and then burst as it warmed back up. As Daisy Caballero reports, they were far from the only ones.
This is what workers at Miraseta, a Sri Lankan restaurant on Southeast Belmont, woke up to on Christmas Eve. Water spraying out of faucets, it rushed onto the kitchen floor and overflowed sinks. The pipes burst because of the freezing temperatures, but they weren't the only ones dealing with this issue.
We also responded to about at least 1,000 calls for assistance in doing emergency water shutoffs.
Felicia Heaton is with the Portland Water Bureau. She says all those calls were from homes, apartments, and businesses. The Bureau saw nearly 20 water main breaks between Thursday and Friday.
One of those was pretty significant in size. That was at Southwest First and Arthur, kind of in the downtown area. And this one was a 16-inch main. That's a really big pipe. And it broke, and then the water was gushing enough that it lifted the pavement up.
Because if this ruptured pipe happened to you, it's probably happened somewhere else, and somewhere else, and somewhere else.
Portland Fire and Rescue also responded to over 300 water emergency calls since Thursday, and that's on top of their regular emergency calls.
25% of the calls at that time that the Portland Fire and Rescue ran on were water emergencies. That is significantly larger than what we're used to seeing.
But Rick has some tips on how you can help them help you. And that's by finding your home's water main shut off and having a few tools so you can turn off your water on your own.
Things that you can have: a bucket to capture your own water, varying degrees, sizes of shutoff keys, mechanisms, methods on how to locate the valve box.
Another trick to stop your pipes from freezing is by leaving a pencil-width stream on all your sinks to keep that water flowing.
You know, main breaks and frozen pipes aren't picky, so they just happen all over the place. So we responded to folks all over the city.
You can find more tips and tricks to prevent your pipes from freezing on KGW.com. Daisy Caballero, KGW News.